The movie begins with a group of drug dealers under a bridge trying to make a sale. After giving out his money, the buyer, Francois Gaultier, realizes he had been duped and calls the dealer out. This prompts the dealer and his gang to torch him. In the hospital, Francois is fighting for his life, while his wife Helene and daughter Nicole try to contain their sadness. The doctor informs them that he does not have much time left, asking her to contact any relatives Mr. Gaultier has. Francois is also heard crying out for Leon, who is his brother. The next scene is in Djibouti, North Africa, where Leon Gaultier, a French Foreign Legionnaire, is posted. An army vehicle approaches and delivers a letter to him. Upon reading it, he confronts his commanding officer, demanding an explanation as to why he has been denied a chance to visit his ailing brother. The commanding officer orders him to forget his family, but the Legionnaire defies the order, which prompts the commander to punish him. Several officers escort him to face his punishment, but he fights them all off and manages to steal an army vehicle and drives off the camp. Another vehicle attempts to chase after him, but they return empty-handed. Lion manages to cross the harsh desert and get to the docks. As a stowaway, he shoves coal in the boiler room of the ship to secure his place to America. In Paris, France, high-ranking officers of the French Foreign Legion get wind of Leon's dissertation of duty. As a result, two officers who worked with Lion in Africa, Sergeant Hartog and Mustafa, are tasked with finding Leon once he arrives in America. Meanwhile, after working hard to stock coal in the boilers of the ship, Lion is disappointed to realize that he is in New York. He confronts and assaults the ship's mate, who had promised to get him to Los Angeles before jumping and swimming across the ocean. In Los Angeles, Lion tries to make contact with his sister-in-law, but he has insufficient funds. His attention is then drawn to a nearby street fight, where onlookers are placing a bet on two fighters. After the first fight is over, Lion decides to fight so as to make some money. Joshua, the organizer of the street fight, collects money and teasingly pronounces Lion's name as Lion, the king of the jungle. Lion takes on his opponent and wins without breaking a sweat, which really impresses Joshua. After getting his cut, Lion tries to contact his sister-in-law in vain. He then tells Joshua that he desperately wants to go to Los Angeles. Joshua introduces Lion to Russell and Cynthia, who run a fighting and betting gig for the elite in New York. The audience then place their bets, which are hugely in favor of Lion's opponent. Lion, who now goes by the stage name Lionheart, faces Sonny, his first opponent of the night, and takes him down with only one punch to the groin. His impressive skills dazzle Cynthia, who offers him a permanent place in her organization. Lion is, however, adamant, as all he wants is to get to LA. Joshua tries to convince Lion to consider the opportunity while accompanying him to LA. After arriving in LA, Lion goes to the hospital, and the doctor informs him that Francois had passed on a week before. In dismal, Lion inquires about the perpetrators, but the doctor advises him to look after his brother's family first, instead of trying to avenge his brother's death. Outside the hospital, Lion sends Joshua away, but Joshua catches up with him. They then head to Helene's address. At the stairway, Lion runs into Nicole playing ball, and as he greets her, he overhears Helene being hassled by the landlord to pay her rent. When Helene sees Lion, she angrily sends him away and blames him for not being there for Francois when he needed him. Lion offers Helene some money, but she rejects the money as well. Heartbroken, Lion drinks his heart out with Joshua, who then finds them a hotel to stay, courtesy of Cynthia. The following morning, Lion wakes up undressed, with Cynthia in his room. Cynthia, who is now fond of Lion, takes him to buy new clothes. While seducing him, Cynthia continues to pressure Lion back into the fights, but Lion is still adamant. Meanwhile, Hartog and Mustafa have set up camp across Helene's apartment in a quest to monitor whether Lion will come looking for Helene and Nicole. Lion then follows and watches Helene and Nicole as they go about their day, and is heartbroken by the pitiful state Helene is in as she tries to keep her family afloat. Lion immediately goes back to Cynthia and informs her that he decided to go back to wrestling. He, however, asks Cynthia to first set up an account for him in a fake name. He also informs Cynthia that he will be moving out of the hotel room, noting that he is not accustomed to that kind of life. In the next scene, expensive cars are driving into a basement where a fight is scheduled. Lion is set to face off a Scottish fighter donning a kilt. The Scottish opponent seems to overpower Lion at first, throwing him against one of the cars. Fortunately, Lion gains momentum and manages to defeat him. Joshua disguises himself as an insurance officer and informs Helene that Francois had set up an insurance policy for his family before his death. Joshua also informs Helene that she will be getting a check every month from the policy. Lion continues to meet more fierce opponents and make more money. As he goes for a run one morning, he stops by to check on Nicole, and Hartog and Mustafa spot him, but they lose him. In another fight, Lion wrestles another opponent in a pool, which he also wins, making more money for Cynthia and Russell. Cynthia is, however, interested in Lion's personal affairs and asks Russell to follow him. Lion then goes for his run, and while talking to Nicole, Mustafa and Hartog ambush him. He tries to make a run for it, but they chase him down and try to arrest him. He fights his way out, but not without Russell noticing that he was in some kind of trouble. Lion then goes to a clinic, and the doctor tells him that he has a broken rib, but he chooses to keep his injury under the rug. In the next scene, Joshua and Lion go to Helene's apartment to inform her of the imminent danger that was lurking if she did not go with them. Helene is disappointed that the insurance policy story was not true, but after much consideration, she chooses to go into safety with them. Elsewhere, Russell and Cynthia watch a film of a fighter called Attila, who seems to be an outstanding wrestler. Hartog and Mustafa are also present, and Cynthia convinces them to let Lion take on Attila, after which the French consulate can have him. Subsequently, Lion and Joshua help Helene to settle into their house, and Lion assures her that she can stay there for as long as she wants. Joshua and Lion then go with Cynthia to the scheduled fight with Attila. After re-watching Attila's film, Cynthia convinces investors to bet in favor of Lion. While Cynthia and Russell pick up Attila at the airport, Lion takes the time to spend time with Nicole and Helene. On the day of the fight, most of the elites seem to bet in favor of Attila. As Joshua checks on Lion, he notices that he has a broken rib and tries to talk him out of the fight. Lion, however, says he must fight to win since he had used all his money to bet for himself, and that this was the only way to ensure a future for Helene and Nicole. When Joshua goes to place his bet, he discovers that Cynthia might have betrayed Lion and bet against him. The anticipated fight finally begins, with Hartog and Mustafa in attendance. Inasmuch as Lion starts off with a high momentum, Attila finds his weak spot and banks on it. This causes a setback for Lion, who for a moment seems defenseless against Attila. As Lion's injuries intensify, Joshua pleads with him to accept defeat, noting that no amount of money was worth his well-being. Lion, however, looks up and sees Cynthia satisfied with the outcome of the fight and realizes that Cynthia had deceived him. Determined to prove her wrong, Lion garners all his strength and continues to fight. Nevertheless, Lion faces a second defeat, and Joshua continues to beg him to back out. The audience cheers Lion on, and this time, despite Attila sending endless blows and kicks his way, he stands his ground and returns the blows and kicks. Cynthia and Russell do not seem too happy about Lion's renewed strength, but Joshua and the audience are impressed. Hartog and Mustafa also jubilate on his determination. After successfully bringing Attila down, Lion holds his fist in readiness to continue fighting, but Attila finally accepts defeat. Lion's celebration ends prematurely as Hartog and Mustafa arrest him immediately. Cynthia is also seen leaving hurriedly after a painful loss. Security personnel, however, order her to go back and settle her bet. Lion goes back to the house to bid Nicole and Helene goodbye, while Hartog and Mustafa wait outside. He then drives off with the two officers. After driving around the block, the car stops and the officers tell him to leave, which was prompted by having witnessed the love he had for his family and the extent he was willing to go for them. The movie ends with Lion being reunited with his family and with Joshua.